Good morning, good morning. It is 7:26 a.m. Monday morning, November 25th. Today is a very early day for me because I have an 8 o'clock appointment to meet somebody. Not business related, but yeah, I've been thinking a lot over the weekend. There's a video that I've been wanting to post realistically for a few months now, and just been really busy, and it's very difficult for me to do videos because between work and family, and it's hard to get 5 minutes. It's hard to get 5 uninterrupted minutes, let alone a half an hour to an hour where I can actually voice everything I want to voice and put everything out there. So what I think I'm gonna do, by the way, I'm putting my shoes on, that's why I keep moving. But what I think I'm gonna do is maybe just split this video up over the course of the day. Then I could piece it together later, and hopefully I can get everything out that I want to get out. And I figure I'll take you on this journey with me on one of my days off. But with that, I will see y'all soon. Top of the morning to you, people. So I actually started this video yesterday, and I never once got back to it. Yesterday was just so crazy. But as I said, I've been wanting to make this video for so many months now. I actually almost made a post about it. A few months ago, I typed something up real long, and I ended up not posting it because I couldn't. I got sidetracked. First and foremost, if this is your first time ever seeing me on video and you've never met me in real life, I am all over the place. I don't want to say I'm OCD or not OCD. What's the word? Ooh, a squirrel. I bounce all over the place. My mind moves at 1,000 ideas per minute, and yeah, I bounce around. Not on purpose. I'd probably have a much better life if I didn't bounce around all like that, but whatever. So one thing I want to say, I do not want to complain. I do not want to, boo-hoo, pity me. I don't want people feeling bad for me. I don't feel bad for myself, I just want to explain something, and I guess kind of like the reasons why. Like I said, I don't want to complain. It's not what this is about. But one thing about me, I'm 37 years old. I'm a workaholic. I've been a workaholic my whole life. Part of it, I don't think is, it's not stemming from being a workaholic as it is just keeping moving. I always am on the go. I'm always on my feet, and my brain, and I feel like my blood pressure, it moves a million miles a minute. There's no stopping me. Whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, I tend to go all in on everything, and part of it is just being a busybody, which I don't like. I don't like the fact that I always have to be doing something, but it's very difficult to train your mind to do things differently if you've been doing the same thing your whole entire life. But I want to back up to the beginning. When I started Big Sal's Feeder Farm, I had no money. I had no money. I had no status. I was still looked at as, I'm a recovering drug addict. I'm a felon. I'm a high school dropout. If you ask a lot of people, I was not supposed to make it this far in life, let alone be quote unquote successful.
which I don't even consider myself successful. You know, it's a struggle every single day. But one thing about me, I purposely and intentionally, and this also drives me nuts, but I purposely allow myself to make less so that I can help other people. You know, and I know a lot of people might say things like that and this, that, oh yeah, you're so full of it, whatever. But realistically speaking, that's just how I am. And I think part of that is because when I was a teenager, like, I was a kleptomaniac. I loved stealing. Didn't matter who you are. I was a thief, you know. If there was something I wanted, I took it. But yeah, you know, I was a thief for a lot of my teenage years. I actually caught felonies from stealing from my best friend, stealing from my family. I was a piece of crap, you know, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because I was. Like I said, I shouldn't have made it this far in life. I could have or should have overdosed years ago. I could have or should have gotten killed from just stealing from the wrong people and doing wrong to the wrong people. And nowadays, like, if somebody close to me, a friend, family member, customer, just anybody in general, it could be a stranger, if somebody close to me has something stolen from them, in my mind or in my heart, or however you want to say it, I feel guilty as if I was the one that stole from them. And I feel like it's my responsibility to pay that back or make it right, even if I had nothing to do with the situation. I think that stems from, you know, always being a klepto and a drug addict as a teenager. You know, nowadays, you know, if somebody is wronged, like, I feel empathy for them, and I feel guilty as if it was me that hurt them. And I think part of that just, you know, it moved on into the business too, where I want to look out and you know, look out for people and hook them up with the best deals that I can, sometimes meaning taking less for myself. So I remember back at the beginning of starting Big Sal's, Amber worked full time, and it was me. You know, I did everything. I cleaned and fed the rats, sorted the bugs, helped the customers. I did 100% of everything, and I didn't get paid. Literally every dollar that every sale made went back into the business, 100% of it. And that happened for a few years. When we got tax money back, I would spend $2,000-$3,000 on roaches, and I would spend money on more rats and building racks. And, you know, I remember at one point I said something to my wife. I was just venting, you know, I'm just overwhelmed with everything I have to do. And her response was, well, you chose this life, that, you know, it's your responsibility. You have to deal with it. And I'm like, you know what? You have a point. You know, I created a job, or I created a business that needs multiple people to run it. And, you know, sometimes you don't have multiple people. Sometimes it's only me, or sometimes it's only me and her. But no matter how you look at it, it is my decision, or it was my decision to build this. So it falls back on me. At the end of the day, everything falls back on me, whether for the good or for the bad. Moving forward, my wife did quit her job and started working from home. You know, she works full time now. And it's a family business, all hands on deck. We all do something. Let me see if I can't get back on topic somehow. Do we even have a topic yet? As I was saying, everything does fall back on me at the end of the day. Although we do have help, we have a lot of help. My wife's working, my son helps a lot. We have Matt, we have Shelby. We just started training somebody else on rodents a little bit. But, everything that boils down comes to me. If we don't pay taxes, or if we don't pay something that's due, and I get a letter in the mail saying, we owe thousands of dollars, that's on me to figure out. If our power goes out in a storm, that's on me to figure out. We lose internet, anything happens, ultimately it's gonna fall on my shoulders. Now, as a business owner, that's normal, things happen, you have to control everything. It could be very overwhelming at times, and I am gonna bounce back and forth a bit, but back in the beginning, I used to tell people, you could come get rats anytime from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, as long as you text first. Being that I'm a workaholic, being that I was trying to build a business that was hopefully going to be successful someday, I didn't want to lose any customers. I didn't want to lose any business. If you need rats when you get off work at 7:30 at night, I wanted to be there to help you. Fast forward so many years, and now my wife works from home. So eventually we cut out Mondays to give us an off day or a day off. Even though, I still had to work on Mondays because, we deal with animals. Our whole business, our whole lives revolve around animals. Now, they don't care if it's Christmas Day or Thanksgiving. They have to eat. They have to drink clean, fresh water. They need their enclosures cleaned, Snakes need fed. Snakes need cleaned. It's, it's a farm. It's not a common farm, but it's a farm nonetheless. We raise animals for food, for sale, for our business. It's a farm. So the animals don't take breaks when it comes to eating and cleaning and all that stuff. So I still had to work on Mondays. However, being closed, that gives us an opportunity that, if we wanted to go do something together as a family, that gave us a day to do so without having to tell everybody we're closed on a certain day or certain hours. We did closed on Mondays so that, for one, that was the slowest day of the week. And for two, anytime like anyone needs a doctor's appointment or a kid's, my son's birthday parties or whatever, we could do it on, I've been saying Monday, it was Tuesday. Tuesday was the day we were closed originally. But then fast forward a couple years, and now we're closed Mondays and Tuesdays because one day just wasn't enough. And I did Mondays and Tuesdays because a lot of people work banker's hours and they can only come get their feeders on the weekends. Mondays and Tuesdays, the first couple days of the week, people are typically working and busy and they're not thinking about, coming out and getting feeders for the reptiles. However, a lot of people still try to come out on a Monday or Tuesday. A lot of people still message on a Monday or Tuesday. And I felt bad because, someone might call or text or send us a message on Sunday night at 10 after 6. Now, we close at 6 p.m., so if someone messages it at 10 after 6 and we left the store already, that message wasn't getting answered until Wednesday morning when we opened. Which ironically, a lot of people thought and still think that the store phone gets answered 24/7. And, you know, it boggles my mind because I have a life outside of work, or I try to. I've had people message us at 3 o'clock in the morning on occasion saying, hey, do you have any live medium rats? One time a few years ago, I actually had somebody message. It was like 9-10 a.m. on Thanksgiving. He didn't say good morning, didn't say happy Thanksgiving. All the text said was, I'll be there in about 20 minutes for rats. And mind you, this is back when I lived in Vienna. I think we already had the store. Yeah, we did have the store, and it was the store phone. However, because we lived there, a lot of times I would bring the store phone in the house. I just wouldn't answer when we're closed. And it took me a good 10 minutes to figure out if I should even respond to the guy, because it kind of infuriated me that why would you think we're open on Thanksgiving morning and then to just tell me you're coming out to get rats, not are you open? Could I please come out to get rats or anything like that? It was just, I'll be there in 20 minutes to get rats. But I answered and said, sorry, we're closed today. It is Thanksgiving, and I'm an overthinker. I probably should have started the video by telling you that, but I'm an overthinker. To me, when someone messages at 2 o'clock in the morning, or when somebody messages on a holiday, in my mind, that's like saying, you know, you don't deserve a day off. You don't deserve a night of sleep. You don't deserve a holiday. You need to be there when I need you to be there. Obviously, that's not how people think. That's how I hear it, though. Another thing in recent history, and by recent history, I mean every bit of the last 3 years, I very rarely give out my personal phone number to customers, including family members that are customers. Because if I'm not at work, I don't want to talk about work. I try to have a family life outside of work, which is very difficult for me to do. And one thing that hurt me real bad, and one thing that actually made me want to make this video to begin with, my wife asked me a few months ago, it was probably about 3 months ago, she asked me if I still love her. And I'm like, of course I do. I mean, we've been together almost 10 years. Why would you say that? And she said, well, you know, I remember you telling me a while back, 'cause years ago, when I was with my ex, I was miserable, right? And I had a job that gave unlimited overtime. If there was work to do, you can be there and work. They didn't care about holidays, nights, mornings, days, whatever. So I would get up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning, and I'd drive straight to work, and I'd work. My shift didn't start till 7. I'd usually punch in between 3:30 and 4:30 a.m. and work till 3, but I would actually stay until 4 or 5 and then drive home. 1, I loved working. 2, I really loved overtime. And 3, I didn't like being home. On the weekends, like, we didn't have to work the weekends, but on Saturday morning, same thing. I'd get up 3, 4 a.m. and I'd go to work. Sometimes I'd only work till 9 a.m. and then I'd go to one of them internet cafes where it's like slot machines, but now they use digital cards. And I would be there at like 9 a.m., maybe stay until 10 or 11. And then I'd text her when I'm leaving there that I'm leaving work to come home. Because if it was like a 29-minute drive to work for back in those days. If it took me 32 minutes to get to work or to get home, I was literally being accused of cheating or stopping somewhere because I was 2 minutes past the time frame. You know what I mean? My ex was just extremely insecure. And I mean, I'm not trying to give you all that personal business, but it was miserable. You know what I mean? I couldn't do anything without being accused of so much stuff. And it was just terrible. But that's what I did to get away from that. I worked, I'd work as many hours as I could. And I tell my wife, like, it's different these days because I have so many responsibilities that I have to work, because if I don't, who's going to do the work? In small business, you can only afford to pay so many people, so many hours to get by. And another thing, as many hours as I work, I only pay myself for 25 hours a week. And I'm the lowest paid person on payroll. The reason behind that, one, we can't afford to pay me for the hours that I work. And two, like I said earlier, I'm okay with making less to try to help people to get better deals and this, that, and the other. But the one thing that has changed over the last couple years is, we have a house, we have a family, we have 2 beautiful kids. It costs money to have a house. It costs money to have electric and water and gas. Kids need clothes and diapers and shoes and Christmas presents. And it's to the point where what we make isn't enough anymore, and we've been juggling a lot over the last few months. And it's tough because, I might buy a snake for $100 and it should sell for $2. And I might sell it for $150, and then someone asked me to give them a discount, end up taking $100 for it. So yeah, I made $25, but if it took 3 weeks to sell that snake, that's 3 meals, plus the electric to heat the snake, but plus the overhead of the store and electric and payroll and everything else. How much did I technically make on that one snake? I better go into FedEx and get my bugs. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Tell you what, fun part is going to be piecing this video together later. Probably going to be an hour long. See if I can't make it a little shorter. But where I left off at, costs a lot of money to live and survive and just everything these days. And I know I have a lot of stuff to say in this video, but our expenses every month, many thousands of dollars. And it's not just rent, it's not just utilities and payroll, but there's the merchandise that we buy for the shelves, there's the snakes and the reptiles that we buy or produce, and the rats that we buy and produce, and the roaches that we buy and produce, we have to pay up front for everything we purchase, and things like this don't happen often, but it really irks me when it does. Someone come out, matter of fact, it was at the last reptile show. One of the vendors asked me, well, it was actually a family member of one of the vendors. He asked me if I had any snakes for $50. And I said, you know what? I'm not sure if I do or not, but I'm sure I could find you one for $50. I mean, we had like 5 normals in the store, or single genes, and it's somebody I've known for years. And, it's a vendor. I try to help the vendors, I try to help everybody for real, but I said, I'm sure I could find you something. So after the show, I told him that he could come follow me back to the store and get a snake. So, mind you, on a show day, the day before is very long. I mean, I'm getting up early, I'm working late. It's tough. And then on show day, I'm up at 3:30 in the morning so that I could, make the final adjustments to load the truck and get everything ready so that we can leave, because we have to leave our driveway at around 6 o'clock or 10 after 6 a.m. to make it to the show. So after the show, he follows us back because I thought he was going to buy a snake. So he's there looking at snakes while we are unloading vehicles. We have 3 vehicles to unload. And he ends up holding a few snakes, and he was there for, I don't know, probably 45 minutes. And ultimately did not get a snake that day. He said he'd have to come back. I don't know if it was the next day or the day after. Well, it kind of irritated me because I thought he was coming to just buy a $50 snake and leave. And instead, while we are unloading vehicles, we're tired, we're drained, we're exhausted, overwhelmed, he's just sitting there with his girlfriend holding snakes and playing with snakes and just keeps stopping me to ask me question after question after question. And it's like, man, dude, I went out of my way to help you thinking you just wanted to come and buy a snake, and now you're just using up so much of my time at the worst time ever, you know, which is why we stay closed on show days, because even though the show shuts down at 3, you know, when I get back to the store, I mean, it's a mess. There's so much to put back and so much to put away, and we're tired, we're cranky, and all that. But he's like, yeah, I'll come back tomorrow to pick up the snake or whatever. And he ended up coming back, and I let him get a snake. He needed a snake and a heat mat and something else, blah, blah, blah. All he had was $50, and he was going to have to owe me like 20 or 25. Now, I don't typically let anybody take something with owing me money. Usually you put a deposit down. Once you pay for the item, then you can pick it up. Reason being, in the past, I would let a lot of people owe me money, anywhere from good friends or family to strangers. You know, if they were short a couple dollars and they needed feeders, I would let them do that. But it got to the point where one time we had a flat tire, and it was only going to cost like $25 to get a used tire installed on the only car we had. And I texted every person that owed us money, and not one of them could come up with $25. And then we ended up waiting like 2 or 3 days to get a tire put on our car. And I'm like, you know, it shouldn't be like that, you know? So I had to stop doing it and make some changes. But anyway, he owed me money. I let him take the snake and the heat mat, and ultimately he did pay for the stuff. And then he comes back out like a week ago. Oh, back up for a minute. After he paid off the snake and whatever he got that day, he said he wanted to upgrade to a bigger tank. I said, that's no problem, blah, blah, blah. He's looking at the tanks, and we're talking about it. And he came on one that he liked. It was around $170. He wants a deal on it. So I look it up. I go and, you know, see how much we paid for it. And I said, all right, I could give it to you for $150. And he's saying, hey, my snake is outgrowing his tank so fast. Can you let me take this tank and I'll pay you next month? And I'm like, hey, next month is only 2 weeks away. Just come back in 2 weeks and buy the tank, and you got it. Your snake is not going to outgrow his tank in a matter of only 2 weeks. Besides that, I sold him a hatchling, and it's like, it's not that urgent. You know what I mean? It's like, I really don't like to hand over merchandise without any money, because I have to come out of pocket to buy the merchandise. I mean, there's actually a truck at the store delivering right now $1,600 worth of merchandise. Some of that might sell tomorrow. Some of it might sit in the store for months before it sells, and I'm able to get that money back. But the fact of the matter is, we have to pay for that stuff first, and we sit on it until it sells. And hopefully it sells. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we end up knocking it down to a clearance if we have it too long, and ultimately we'll lose money on it. But he was like upset that I wouldn't give him this tank, and then he left without buying anything. And I'm like, my mind is blown, because I'm in the back working. I was cupping up bugs, it was a very, very busy day. And a lot of times if it's busy like that, I will tell my wife and son, I don't have time to talk today. When I tell them that, if a customer comes in and they're specifically asking for me, they'll tell them, today's not a good day or now's not a good time. And they'll get a message and I could give them a call back later and talk about it later. But I went out there and I talked to him. I spent my valuable time to talk to him. And he just, he wanted something for free. Mind you, he would have paid for it. I know the guy would have paid for it. But I'm like, why would you even drive all the way out here and try to take $150 out of the store without paying for it and having to pay me later? That's not how business works. That's not how the world works. You could get afterpay. There's so many different ways you can do to get the money early, or just wait. I mean, it's only 2 weeks. Just wait. It's not that important. But then he left, and it's like, so you showed up. You spent 10 or 15 minutes of my time for nothing. Now, mind you, not everybody I talk to is going to buy something from me and profit every day. That's not what this is about. It's funny, when I'm working throughout the day, every day, cupping up bugs or whatever, my mind is always going, and I say the perfect things that I want to say for a video. But then when it's actually time to do the video, I get like a brain freeze and I don't know what I'm doing. But it could be very overwhelming having to control everything, having to take care of everything, having to be the problem solver for everyone. And again, I don't want to come off as complaining. This is my life. This is how I chose to live it. But there are certain boundaries that I put in place. For example, I mentioned earlier, I give some people my personal number. A lot of people I don't. Like I told you, I have family that don't even have my personal number because they also have reptiles. I don't want people to have my personal number for a few reasons. One, if you need something that has to do with reptiles or the store or whatever, during working hours, there's always somebody here that's going to answer those questions, going to answer the phone and the text, and they can help you. Matter of fact, they're paid to help you. But when you text me on my personal number, for example, about a year ago, I'm at the doctor with my wife. Store was open, someone was here, people were working. I'm with my wife at a hospital because she was having a procedure done, and I needed to be there to drive her home because she was going to be sedated. And someone's texting me, how much are hoppers? Do you have any live hoppers? To me, that's like the biggest form of disrespect, because I asked you, when I give you my personal number, I ask you, please don't ever message me for anything that has to do with the store. Message the store phone. There's somebody that's paid to answer those questions, and they can help you faster than I can help you because they're at the store. I don't know if I have live hoppers when I'm 45 minutes away sitting at a hospital. I don't know what's in stock. You know what I mean? I don't have it memorized. I was looking yesterday. I think we have like over 14,000 products or something. I don't even know. Some of those are probably old or discontinued or whatever. But we have a lot of products. And when it comes to something that's live, that can change very quickly. I might have had a dozen hoppers here before I left, and someone might have bought them 5 minutes later. I don't know. Text the store. They'll know. Same with my personal Facebook. I don't accept every friend request from every customer or every person that I know from the store for the same reason. When I'm at home eating dinner with my family, I don't want to be bothered with the store stuff. I try desperately to have a life outside of work. It's not always the case. And I've actually lost friends over this and posts because I've posted on Facebook about it for 3 years now. My personal Facebook is for friends and for family and for hobbies and whatever else. I don't want to talk about work when I'm not at work. Again, I am a workaholic, But it's not just me anymore. I have a family to think about. And if I am, home and we're not working, if I'm downstairs in my office handling business stuff, I'm not with my family, If I'm always answering questions about rats and bugs and snakes and stuff like that, I have no time at all for my family. And I'm already working 70, 80 plus hours a week. So when I'm not at work, I want my family to have my full attention and focus. Madeline today she's 16 months old today. Jimmy just turned 12 last month. Time goes by so quickly, and I don't want them growing up and their only memory is me working and not having any time to spend with them because I'm always working. So because of that, I set boundaries. At one point, I deleted Facebook and Messenger off my phone for, I think it was close to 2 years. And if you message me on my personal Facebook, it might take you 2-3 months for me to respond, because when I'm on Facebook on my computer, I don't always see the messages, or I don't always pay attention to it, because there's a lot of different avenues of communication. I mean, I take care of 4 different email addresses, a couple different Facebook accounts for, the Reptile Show and Big Sal's and my personal, and, with texting and the store phone, like there's so many avenues of communication. Facebook Messenger is it's not one of my top priorities. But Sunday, someone was here looking for heat tape, and I told him I'd help him. I said, he also wanted to order a thermostat, and I said, well, do me a favor, let me know what you need. Message the store's Facebook page tomorrow, and I'll order what you need, or I'll prepare what you need, yada yada. So yesterday was Monday. Guy messages around 5 p.m. and then Shelby responds to him, not knowing that I told him to message, Monday, and I'd help him out. But he was telling our Facebook page what he needed as far as the heat tape goes. And Shelby responded with, sorry, Jim had a busy day. He'll respond to you tomorrow. Because I was in the process of texting her, and I told her, hey, the guy messaging about the heat tape, tell him I'll message him tomorrow. Just had a very busy day. I'm overwhelmed. And at this point, it was like 9 o'clock at night. So she tells him, Jim will reach out to you tomorrow. And he says, okay, thanks. Within just a couple minutes, I have a message request from him on my personal Facebook saying, hey, you told me to message the Facebook page, and I messaged, but you're not answering, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just deleted the message. I didn't even open it. And things like that just irritate me, because somebody answered your question and someone told you, I'll get a hold of you tomorrow. You're not going to be here until Wednesday to pick up the heat tape. It's not important that you have to talk to me this very minute on a Monday night at 9 o'clock when I'm at home with my family. That's like a huge form of disrespect to me when someone wants to take my time away from my family. Again, as an overthinker, you don't know that. When you're messaging, all you're thinking about is what you need. You're not thinking about what I'm doing when you're trying to message me. There are certain people that I do let message me about business stuff, and it's just because it's the way it is. But I'm very consistent on who I talk to and who I don't. So it's not like, well, you let me text last week, now you don't want me to text. I'm very consistent on it. The only people that message me on my personal phone about business is Mike, because me and him run the Reptile Show together. I have to always be able to respond and talk about the Reptile Show. I have a partner. I have, whatever. And Shelby's a worker. She works from home, but she answers a lot of messages. So if it's something super urgent that can't wait until we open, she'll text me, and I'll help her figure out the best answer to give the person. Or I could message them myself if it's urgent or whatever. And then there's certain vendors that I'll also talk to outside of work hours or on my personal phone or Facebook. But for the majority, before I even accept a friend request or before I even give out my personal phone number, I always ask, please do not ever text me if it's about, anything from the store. If you have any kind of business questions, please message the business. To me, that's like, it's not a lot to ask. You know what I mean? But as an overthinker, I have a feeling that when I make posts about this, because I have made lots of posts on Facebook about people bugging me on my personal phone, and that's why I don't have Facebook on my phone anymore. And to me, when I say that, I feel like others looking at my posts or what I'm saying are like, oh yeah, he thinks he's, so great or so big that he can't be bothered and blah, 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 blah. I could be wrong on that. I don't think I am. I do think there are people that's like, oh yeah, this dude got such a big head. He thinks he's all that and a bag of chips and blah, blah, blah. It's really not that. The thing is, I work myself to death and my family is basically on the back burner. They get what's left at the end of the day instead of getting my first attention and then work. You know what I mean? I have it backwards for whatever upbringing I've had, the way my brain is wired. It's wrong in a matter of speaking because my family should definitely be my first priority. And the way I look at it, they are, because, put it this way, I can't take care of my family if I don't make money, if I don't have an income. And our income is the business. So I put everything I can into the business so that I can provide and take care of my family. But when it comes to kids, when it comes to your wife, they don't want your money first and foremost. The small kids don't understand why you're working so much for money. All they want is your time. They want your attention. Kids want to play. They want to spend time with their family, with their dad and their mom. They don't know or understand why you're working or what money is and this and that and the other. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because I have to work in order to provide for my family, but I also need to spend time with my family. And currently, we spend very little time together. And sometimes it's not even people messaging me that irritate me. It's people messaging my wife. I can't tell you how many times we have gotten into arguments at night or on the weekend, or when we're closed, over talking work at home. But, sometimes, it could be a Tuesday night or a Monday night, and my wife's like, hey, so-and-so wants to know if you want to buy this snake. And I'm like, why are they messaging you about the snake instead of personal? Because she's a lot more passive than me. She don't like confrontation. I don't like confrontation. But, over the years, I've been able to develop a little better, and I can tell people what my boundaries are. My wife isn't like that. She has a hard time with strong confrontation. But there's times, like I told you, we've lost friends over it. There's times where someone would message my wife or call my wife first thing in the morning and wake her up on her off day to talk about reptiles in the store and feeders and stuff. And that's so disrespectful because when somebody works so much, all they dream is to have a little bit of family time. And then when that family time is interrupted by more work and more business stuff, it easily gets very overwhelming. And, I can tell people, please don't message me. And realistically, a lot of times I don't even care if I lose business because of it, because I am more set on principles and my boundaries and just that more than money. Of course I'm money motivated. I'm a businessman, whatever. I have to make money in order to survive. But my principles are so much stronger than cash flow because, if you're blowing my phone up asking about rats and mice at 2:00 in the morning, obviously you have no respect for me. You know what I mean? Because if I told you, please don't message me personally about rodents or snakes, and you still do it and you do it repeatedly, to me, that's just, you're disrespecting me. You don't give a shit about me. And that's what really irks me. And it's to the point where sometimes I'm like, you know what? You could go somewhere else from now on. If that's the way you feel, please just go somewhere else. I don't want customers that have literally no respect for me. You know what I mean? Most of our customers, I'm talking high 90s, are like family and friends, and I love seeing them all the time. And sometimes that's the reason why I hide in the back so much. And I'm not hiding in the back, I'm back there working. But it's like someone I'm really good friends with comes into the store to get snakes or to get rats or bugs or whatever. It's very hard for me to not come to the store and talk to them, because it's like, I only see them when they're here. And when they're here, I want to, BS with them and talk and whatever, catch up. But at the same time, I'm so behind on the work that I need to do that I'm like, I can't go out there and talk today. You know what I mean? Some people will come here and they're here for 2 or 3 hours getting their feeders, because they're not just getting their feeders. They're hanging out. They're talking with friends, and it's awesome. But I can't do that every day, because then my work doesn't get done. Then I get even more overwhelmed, and it's just a never-ending cycle. But if no matter how many hours I spend at work or at home, if I can keep work at work and home at home, that would be the perfect life for me. And that is what I have been trying to do for so many years now. And, I shouldn't have to be forced to unfriend somebody or block somebody or delete Facebook and Messenger off of my phone because you don't respect me. You know what I mean? But it's like, I can only ask so many times, please don't do something. But if you continuously do it, that just shows the disrespect. And disrespect is like one of my biggest pet peeves, because it's like, I don't care if someone likes me or not, but you're going to respect me, and that's not like a haughty, whatever. It's just, I don't know. It's deep, I don't like my wife to think or feel that I don't love her because I spend all of my time at work, and because when I go home, it's still work. She should never have to question my love for her based on the hours I spend at work. We're doing this thing for Thanksgiving. Every year around this time, we like to do something to give back. A few years in a row, we gave away live Christmas trees. I think last year we paid bills for a couple people, or got clothes or something for their kids. I can't remember. But this year, we're actually going to pick it today. We're going to buy kids' coats for 2 kids, and we're going to cover that ourselves out of pocket. But that you have to come in and fill out a paper, John Smith, 7 years old, and his mom's phone number. And you put it in there. That way, when, if there's 10 tabs in there, I'm going to randomly pick 2. I pick up John Smith, his mom Sharon, here's her phone number. I can call her and say, hey, we're going to buy your son a new coat for this winter. What size does he wear? Does he have a favorite cartoon or a favorite color? And that way I can, make arrangements to meet and give the kid the coat. I got people messaging me on Facebook, on my personal Facebook. Can I, so-and-so has kids, they need coats. Are they allowed to put a tag in even though they're not a customer? Well, if you look at the very post that tells you about us getting coats for kids, you'll see that they don't have to be a customer. It's all in the post. All you gotta do is read it. Most of the time, the details are easily there for you to see, and you still message me on my personal Facebook or my phone for it. Or, I've had a lot of people comment about knowing somebody that needs coats, but up until Sunday, we didn't have a single tag in there. And I don't have the time to fill out tags for you. If you're not close by and you can't make it into the store to fill out the tags, I'm sorry, I can't. I have a lot on my own plate to do. Maybe a family member or someone else can come in and fill out a tag. I don't want to tell somebody no, somebody that's in need. I mean, now we probably have, 6 tags in there. That's 6 kids that need a coat. And we can only afford to buy coats for 2 kids, maybe 3, because there were some cash donations too. But I can't do everything, and I can't do it all like I want. If it was up to me, if I had the money, every coat in the country or in the world or every kid would have a coat when it's cold out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I don't have the money or the power to make that happen. But I can make it happen for 2 kids. But I can't figure out who those kids are and get them the coats and then go and deliver the coats or ship them or something. You have to participate also. I can't do everything on my own. And there's so many more. There was like 3 or 4 people that messaged me about the coats. And there's so much more that I left unsaid, mainly because brain freeze. Plus, I have a lot to do. I have a lot of bugs to put away and cup up today, and a lot of stuff, the merchandise that just showed up here. I have to unpack it, price it, put it on the shelves, and hopefully around 5 or 6 o'clock, I could go home and have some family time with my family. But if I go home at 6 o'clock and someone's messaging my wife about me buying snakes, and someone's messaging me about buying snakes or selling rats or bugs or this or that and the other, that little 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. that I get to spend with my family, now some of that 3 hours going back to work. And that's what I don't want to do. I do not want to eat, sleep, and breathe Big Sal's Feeder Farm 24/7. I could do it for 10 hours a day. I could do it for 12 hours a day. God knows I've had to do it, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've had to go out to my buildings and relight a furnace or a heater or turn a breaker on. We've had problems. We've had emergencies that required me to work at 2 or 3 in the morning or wake up at 5 in the morning to shovel snow. And there's just certain things that there's no getting around. But the one thing we can get around is people messaging my personal phone or Facebook to talk about snakes and rats and bugs and all that stuff. And it's, I always say I'm an open book, and sometimes I put things out there when I'm vulnerable, and I might regret it immediately. Like, I tell people too much. I'm too open. I'm too honest. Now they might look at me a certain way. They're going to misunderstand what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? I have feelings just like any other person does. And I feel like that a lot, especially being an overthinker. You might watch this video and just be like, man, quit crying and get your ass to work. You know what I mean? That's probably what I would say if I watched this video, because that's just me. Man it up, You're a man up. You shouldn't have feelings. You should only work, blah, blah, blah. But we do have feelings. We do have families. We do have a life. I want you to respect my life outside of work, Tell you what, 2 nights ago, Sunday night after work, we go to the Chinese buffet in Niles. Now, I love that place. We're there probably once a week. It's funny because when we walked in there was 2 different families eating there that are customers of ours here, right? And we waved and we said hi to both, and they said hi to us and all that stuff. Neither one of them come to my table, and I didn't go to any of their tables. Why? They're with their family and they're having dinner. They're not wanting to talk about snakes and work and this, that, and the other. They want to eat dinner with their family. That's the respectable thing to do, is to not go and sit at their table and ask them how their day is going or how their snakes are doing. The most amazing thing happened when the second family was leaving. About 3 minutes later, waitress comes over to my table and sits in Amber's spot because Amber was up at the buffet, and she goes, she had this weird look on her face, and she goes, customer paid. And she hands me my little receipt tray with the fortune cookies, and there was no bill. And I'm like, how cool is that? Someone paid for our meal. That's literally never happened to me in my life. Trust me, I've had good things happen to me. I've had people bless me with money or gifts or whatever, but I've never had someone pay for my meal in that fashion. And I instantly knew who it was. But my wife was like, how do you know it wasn't the other people? And I said, I'm pretty sure I know who it was, especially because they were the last ones that left. But then a few minutes later, a message popped up on our Facebook page that says, it's a gift from us. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys enjoyed your meal and stuff like that. And that really made me feel good because that's the way life should be. You know what I mean? Like, I've done that for other people, and you don't have to, you don't have to go and sit at their table and talk to them for 20 minutes just to buy them a meal or whatever. Like, they respected us and we respected them, and they bought us our meal, which is just amazing. You know what I mean? It's like unbelievable. I can't tell you how grateful I was for that to happen. And it felt really good. But then you flip the script of the guy that messaged yesterday. Come to find out, he actually texted the work phone Monday morning, yesterday. We're closed. No one sees those messages. I know a lot of people think that might be my personal phone and that I'm going to answer their questions 24/7, but I don't. When we're closed, that phone does not get answered. But the person messaged the phone, and when he didn't get a response back in so many hours, that's when he messaged the Facebook page. After he was told, Jim's busy, he'll get a hold of you tomorrow, then he hunts me down on my personal Facebook page because he needed his answer instantly. That's not the way things should be. If you get a message like it's and it wasn't even important, just wait till morning. It's not that big of a deal to bother somebody when they're home with their family over what you need. You know what I mean? And I'm friends with the guy. He's a good friend. He's a vendor. He's a customer. I have nothing bad to say about him, but that's just not the way to go about business. You know what I mean? If you needed to price an item from Walmart, you're not gonna call Alvin Walton, the owner of Walmart. You're gonna call your local Walmart store, and if they're closed, you're gonna have to call back the next day when they open again. You're not gonna hunt down the manager and text them while they're at home with their family. And that's just one of them things that always irks me because, I try so hard to help people save money and give them deals on things, and I work so many hours, and it's still not enough. Certain people they gotta have more and more and more and more, and it's like I only have so much to give. And I'm trying to end this video, but I just had a thought. There was one more thing I wanted to add, and now I'm not sure if I have it in me. What? I think I lost it. I think I lost my thought. Anyway, that's the problem with having a billion things going on in your brain every single minute. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're overworked, and we're trying hard. And you know what? Oh, I remember. This happened twice. Once was just about a week ago. Actually, it's happened more than twice because it's happened on rodents and it's happened on insects, but twice for a particular person. Somebody called us for rats and asked for prices, and he got his prices, and then he was like, oh, I thought you would be cheaper than so-and-so down in so-and-so, 3 hours away. Now, the person they wanted me to beat prices of. One guy with his 2 sons, they produce thousands and thousands and thousands of rodents every month. I personally used to buy rodents from him to increase our production and to just resell them. It was a 6-hour round trip for me to go and get those rodents. When I was there, you cannot step foot inside the rodent room because it smelled that bad. If it was summertime, I walked in there one time, the thermometer on the wall shows that it was 92 degrees. There is no AC, just fans. So the door's propped open, the fans are on. It was 92 degrees in there. My wife half stepped into the garage and went right back outside having a full-blown asthma attack. The rats that we bought every single time are stained. Every drawer he'd open, the substrate was so dirty that it was almost black, and it was like almost sitting water in every drawer. That's just how filthy they were. It's appalling to see live animals being kept like that, especially when I talk about them being stained. When I mainly only froze and sold my own frozen, I could not freeze stained rats. I would fluff them up with fresh bedding, keep them for days or weeks before freezing them. The stains never went away. That urine and poop stain from that much dirty substrate for that long period of time, there's no coming back from it. It's disgusting. Now, does your snake care if his rat is urine stained? I'm sure probably not. Do the rats care? Probably. They're actually pretty clean animals. They like to keep themselves clean, just like dogs and cats do. Crazy part about that, sometimes we have a flooded drawer where the rat will bust off their water nipple and the whole 5 gallons of water will come down and flood out a whole drawer. Now, when we find that flood, those rats are soaking wet. It stinks horrible. And, we fix it instantly. Typically within like 6 hours, the rats are dry and they're not stained. Even though they sat in just filthy pee and poop water and bedding for however long while the flood happened, the next day they were clean again and they weren't stained. So I'm like, how little do you have to clean your rodents for a stain like that to appear on them and never go away? Now you have yourself and 2 kids to take care of all these thousands of rodents at home. Of course, and with less, very much less cleaning and less food, which blows my mind because rats need to eat to grow. They need to grow to sell, blah, blah, blah. But he would feed his rats very little. I'm talking there'd be a couple pellets on top every drawer, every time. They never had just unlimited amounts. Now, ours always have food and water constantly, no limit. And, excuse me, with having, no overhead of a retail location, you have far less expenses when it comes to food and substrate because you don't clean them as much as they need to be cleaned, and you feed them like just barely enough to grow at whatever. Of course, you could sell your rodents far cheaper than somebody who has a retail store that buys thousands of dollars worth of supplies to keep on the shelves, and the payroll of people working to take care of the animals in the best of our abilities. So we have those expenses. We have thousands of dollars every month of expenses goes into our rodents and bugs and just everything here. Of course, we cannot compete with the person that only cleans their rats once every 2 weeks, barely keeps them fed, has no employees, and has no retail location. we can't compete with that. Our rodents, they get cleaned 5 days a week. Not every drawer gets cleaned 5 days a week, but the whole room, you know, many cages need cleaned. You know, there's certain rotation you have to do in order to keep the smell down, in order to keep the rodents cleaned and well fed and stuff like that. So of course we cannot compete with somebody who's just breeding them in their garage with not, you know, barely a quarter of the overhead that we have. There's no competing against that. Same with the roaches. You know, if somebody's producing, you know, 100 million roaches a month and we're producing 10,000 a month, but we're purchasing 80,000 a month, of course we're not going to be able to charge you as less as the person that you're buying 10,000 a week from. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. You know what I mean? Of course, in the very beginning, I wanted to produce 100% of the feeders that we sold. However, from the very beginning, the demand has always been higher than what we could produce. So we always found ourselves buying more and flipping rather than just selling what we produce. I would rather sell to the people who need it instead of telling 70% of the people that I don't have what they need. You know what I mean? So I go out there and I hunt for quantity, price, quality. I try to find the best deals, and sometimes I might buy something for $1 and only sell it for $1.10 because I have to keep up with certain market prices and things like that, while at the same time turning a profit because we have such a high overhead with a retail store and payroll and all that stuff. But this has been a very, very long video. I need to get to work putting bugs away, merchandise away, and then I'm gonna have to edit this later. Probably gonna take 2 hours to edit this because it's a long video. But sorry for the rant. To anybody who put the time to watch this, I appreciate you. And yeah, I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you next time.